Welcome to the Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast for authentic dating in Denver. My name is Dave Glazer, your host and facilitator, where each week we bring expert guests to come share their knowledge, tools, and tips so that we can show up as our most authentic self. Hey guys, welcome back to the Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast. I am so honored to have my guest all the way from Florida, Ms. Chasity Snowden. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. What is the current climate of modern dating in Florida where you're at?
Oh, it's nice and warm. It's an interesting place to date. It's a melting pot, so it's an interesting place. You really honestly never know what you're gonna get. And you never know if you'll see that person again or if that person even exists.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
There's a lot of catfishing online. So they'll talk to you for a while and you think their pictures are real, and then all of a sudden they just ghost. And then you might see them later as a famous person online, and they don't even live in Florida.
So this person stole someone else's pictures and misrepresented themselves as a completely fictitious person?
Yes, that happens quite a bit. And also, a lot of people, it's a transient place. So a lot of people are flying in and out. So they'll be here for a couple days, chit chat. If you don't meet them, they just ghost, disappear, and they're off to wherever they live.
But in some cases, that's okay, right? Like if they're going to be wasting your time long distance anyways?
Yes, that's okay. But they just don't tell you a lot of times.
Right. So maybe they're looking for some quick action and then they come in for vacation and then they bust out real quick.
Yes. Which I'm fine with the people that are like, hey, I'm here for some quick action. Like, at least they're honest. It's the ones that aren't honest that say they're in town looking for something, but they live here, and then actually they don't live here.
Got it. So the misrepresentation of themselves altogether is what's frustrating.
Yes, very frustrating. But that happens across the board with everybody.
Yeah, not necessarily just you and your interaction with dating. It could be the friends that you hear stories from, or does it happen in business also?
Yes, because everybody here in business is also pretty transient. Everybody's starting and, leaving businesses or starting a new one, or they're like, this isn't working for me, and they just move to another state and they just change their name or move. It's an interesting place, but it's amazing to live here. Hard to date, but amazing to live here.
Sure, of course. So how long have you been single? What are you looking for when you're out there dating?
Well, I've been single for, I guess it's been 3 or 4 years. My last relationship was only about 9 or 10 months. So I feel like I've been single for a really long time, because nothing really sticks except for the last one anyway. So I feel like I'm just always looking. When I'm out there, I'm looking for an actual human.
Not just a person behind the screen, not a bot,
Yeah, like a person that is, it's hard to find somebody that actually cares about their health and they're physically fit, but then also can pay their own bills, and then also notices me because they're not just looking at themselves in the mirror. So and also I'm a Christian, so that becomes a problem too, because half the people here, they're Buddhist, or they are into nature, or they're Hindu, or they are Jewish. Like, everybody, it's a melting pot. So it's not, I'm from the Bible Belt. So, I'm not like you have to go to church every day, but my belief system is important to me. Mm-hmm. But it's just, and also I'm 38, so it's hard to find somebody in that demographic that isn't married with kids. So sometimes you'll meet people and they'll be everything you want, but they have a wife and they forgot and they got online, and then you find out later. That's not cool either.
It's definitely not the person that we're looking for.
No.
In this case. So core common values are very important to you. There's a lot of alignment that has to come together in order for you to invest your time. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
So they have to be physically fit. They have to take care of themselves nutritionally, and they have to have an active lifestyle mindset. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely.
And then they have to have faith.
Yeah.
Any level of faith, right?
Yeah, and they also need to have like a business that they genuinely enjoy. I don't want to listen to somebody complain when I love what I do. And you know, I don't want you to be tired while we're walking up a hill. Not that there's hills here, but if we travel, but you
Or
walk up,
staying on a paddleboard or going to the beach or
like my 4 flights of stairs that I walk up over and over again. I think about that because I've actually had guys say, wow, you got me to walk up like 4 flights of stairs twice today. I'm out of breath. And I'm like, this is not going to work. What? But then you also want them to be like, I don't know, read books occasionally and not just be into fitness. So, yeah.
So is that Ollie that I hear?
Yes, this would be Ollie. He decided to find something to play with.
Right? No, I absolutely, that's a gallon jug. So I think that your dog is the cutest dog in the world.
He really is.
Yeah. And do you find that like dog owners talk about their dog before and more than anything else?
Yes. And I never thought I would be the person that posts about my dog or talks about my dog. And then I became that person. But he's so cute.
Yeah, he's one fine piece. What did you tell me the other day, that you hope that he's not your only Valentine date next year?
Yeah. Well, I met him on Valentine's Day. I was alone this Valentine's Day and Googled dogs. Hence why I have a dog, because I decided I didn't want to be alone the next Valentine's Day. And he kind of has no choice. He has to stick around. So I went and spent 2 hours with him on Valentine's Day, and a couple days later went back and bought him.
Well, he's like the perfect fit because he's as energetic and he loves going to the gym as much as you do.
Yeah, he does. He likes to run a lot. He's actually sitting here poking my back right now going, let's go run somewhere.
Right. Is he a dude magnet? Does he just attract all of the guys?
Yeah, he attracts every person. But yeah, he attracts the guys. And then I've had like a guy like want to keep him, and then I was like, oh, you just want to keep my dog. And then I was like, wait, maybe he was interested in me. And then we went out on one date, and then he just decided he only wanted to keep my dog. So I guess he was really interested in the dog, but he thought he had to date me to see the dog. I don't know. It's interesting.
One of my friends here in Denver is like, I most likely just swiped right to play with your dog because she has a dog as well and super outdoorsy, and she wants that commonality as well in her partner. But at this point right now, she only wants to hang out with the dog.
Yeah. Well, I would rather have a partner that doesn't have a dog.
So that he can pay all the attention to Ollie and yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great. And it's because if you have a dog too, then we have that whole like, oh, you have to go home for your dog, but then I need to be home for my dog some. So if you don't have a dog, like you're more transient. So that works out better.
Logistically, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like children, but less maintenance.
Yes. That he's like my test for if I could have kids.
It's going pretty well so far because he gets to go with you everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And also if I get mad, I can just like put him in a cage and walk away for a minute. Yeah, I don't think you can do that with kids.
No. My 16-year-old would have none of that.
Oh, goodness.
So I got a question for you. Are men intimidated by strong women, both physically, mentally, emotionally?
I've heard that a lot out of men's mouth, but I've also read books that told me that they're lying. So I don't know. You're a man. What do you think?
Well, I'm independent. I'm physically strong. I have become emotionally strong over the last few years. I've been working specifically on my mental strength as well, becoming more resilient, self-aware, and present in the moment. So me personally, no, absolutely not. But that's also kind of like a reflection of my intensity as well.
Yep.
You know, you're big into CrossFit. You're a competitor, and you're always doing it, as far as I can see. So you're going to be looking for a man who has a common core values and can actually keep up.
Yeah, in all areas. That's usually the case. Can you keep up? And so, I mean, I can see, and what I've seen is that the men that are intimidated, or maybe they just don't like me, are the ones that aren't ready. So like if they can't keep up in that area, then that's why we don't keep dating, or I don't keep dating them.
So they might be using it as an excuse to like push you away, or like that's the reason why we're not going to date, is because you intimidate me and I can't keep up.
Yeah. Well, they usually don't tell me that till like years later. They were like, oh, and then they found somebody else and they were like, oh, you just intimidated me. I always wanted to date you, or I always wanted to go out with you again, but I was just too nervous and yeah, whatever. I'm like, I'm not that scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to keep up. If you can't, like, I'll run all over you. That's a problem.
Yeah. And as a strong, independent woman, like, you're not going to be challenged by a man who can't hold his own, can't stand his ground. So maybe a hyper masculine type of a man is something that's going to kind of connect and really resonate with you.
Yeah, that I'm definitely more attracted to iron sharpens iron in all areas of my life. Like, I like being around people that are smarter than me. So a guy that's super smart, or he's super fit, or just even that questions things that I believe. Like, if I say something, he's like, I don't know. Or even if I put something on, he's like, you might not want to wear that. Like, it's attractive to me that they're that honest and they'll tell you what they think, because then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't wear this, or maybe I should think that, and it makes life more interesting than somebody that just gets along with you all the time.
Sure. So somebody who's going to lead you forward and challenge you at the same time.
Yes, that would be amazing. Do you manufacture those as well as talk about them?
No.
Dang.
Because it's going to be a man that's done work personally, professionally. It's going to be, so if you've got this picture of a man in mind, where would you go out and seek him?
I think that's the problem. I don't go out and seek. It's usually online. I think I would find him at, like, I don't know, out doing something active on the beach, like playing volleyball or something.
Sure.
Or
in a CrossFit location that you visit to give one of your presentations.
maybe so, because I wouldn't want to date somebody that's at my gym or in my
not...
vicinity, because if it doesn't work, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Don't date where you squat. You just don't do that.
I've heard it said different ways, but that's the first time I've heard it in context of squatting.
Well, it's just, you don't want to mess up your sanctuary of sorts, and working out place for your CrossFit gym or whatever, that's your sanctuary. But yeah, somebody in a CrossFit gym, or that's out on the beach and he's like super active or running, or he's like out doing something, not a guy that's sitting around watching football. Or
Yeah.
No.
So you're in pretty good shape. You could chase him down if he's running on the beach.
Yes, I could. That might be awkward though, but I would. I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of holding back on the vulnerability from you, or
No.
there's no shame present with that act.
Yeah, no. I mean, he probably wouldn't be attracted to me if I ran him down on the beach. He might be a little scared. So
How about if you run past him, like you're so athletic that you can actually outrun him, and then you give him a challenge and you say, hey man, I'll meet you at the ice cream shop around the corner if you can get there in less than 2 minutes.
That's actually a good idea. Maybe I should run more. Huh. Or ride my bike. There's a lot of bikers on A1A. So I should do that on my bike.
So you said that you meet a bunch of people, or primarily online, and as a business owner myself, I know I can relate to that, because I had this mindset of like, oh, I'm so busy with the things I'm passionate about. That's one of the only ways that I can meet somebody. So what power does social media have, whether it's a dating app or Instagram or Facebook, both positive and negative?
It's very powerful. It kind of dictates most things. Ollie found the only other plastic thing to make noise, so he would get our attention.
Well,
he's a man trying to get my attention. I'm all for it.
When we promote your episode and your biopic that I asked you for, please send me a picture of you and Ollie, or just Ollie.
Okay, yeah, that'll be perfect.
We're dog people around here, so that biopic is going to go a long way when we promote it on Instagram.
Yeah, it'll be viral, and I'll have to move there. People were like, just bring your dog. We don't really care what you look like, but we'll date you. Bring your dog.
Right. And I think that's a point of the power of social media is, as the first time that we came across each other on Instagram was because you were in our neck of the woods, and
yes.
And then the proximity piece of Instagram put us overlapping, and that's how we got connected.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. It's powerful. It connects you to people. But the problem with it is you don't ever know if you're getting what you see. So people put it's the highlight reel. They put their best foot forward online, whether it's you're swiping on some dating app or you're looking at the dating app and going to their Instagram. It's not like they put crappy things about themselves on there, that they actually are a closet smoker or whatever their side thing is. So it's good, but then it's bad. But then again, when you date, it's always a highlight reel for the first 3 to 4. And then you're like, oh, wow, you didn't tell me that part about you.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up because of transparency and authenticity have been coming up a lot in conversation for me. So what's the difference between, say, like transparency and authenticity to you?
Oh, goodness. Transparency, I feel like you and I have talked about this. We
You
text
did.
back
So
and
if you
forth.
want to scroll back through our Instagram.
I'm like, I need to like scroll back through because my brain just got like squirrely. I've been working all day. Because I feel like transparency is like you're open to it. You're open to, like, if somebody finds it out, that's fine. But authenticity, a lot of times you tell people.
Yeah. If I could refresh your memory really quick on how we were talking about this. So in your words, you said transparency is that people can see through you, and authenticity is that you don't even have to try because it's on the surface.
Yes.
So let's kind of dive a little bit deeper into that because it's been coming up so much for me, whether vulnerability requires transparency or not.
I think that it does, because I think if you're not, but I think you might be able to sway me. This is something that it's like, I want to like sit and journal about this for a while.
Trust me, I do every day.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like I should have like had this question and journaled about it for like 2 or 3 days to come up with like exactly what I think. And something to know about me, which is very interesting on dates, I process everything outside of my head. So I might say the exact opposite things, but it's because I'm processing and figuring out what I believe, and then I'll come to a conclusion. So that's interesting on podcasts too. But I think vulnerability, you have to be authentic to be vulnerable. It has to be like out there on the surface. I don't know if there's, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm very vulnerable all the time, like, because I feel like I'm completely authentic. But I also think I'm transparent.
Yeah, I don't see you hiding anything.
Ever.
Ever.
Like, I've spent so much of my life hiding things that like the words don't even, like, to hide things doesn't even resonate with me anymore. I don't, like, people say stuff, and sometimes I say things, and I guess it's vulnerability online because I share everything. But I only know that I've shared too much by people's reactions.
Sure,
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
they're just kind of confused, and then I'm like, oh, that was that. I took that one a little too far. Reel that back in and put it in a nice little box for them to get, but still be authentic and still be open, just maybe not with the rough edges. But yeah.
Absolutely. Brene Brown calls that floodlighting. And
She's amazing.
I'm hugely fascinated by this concept of like being vulnerable with authenticity, but yet choosing how we're transparent with ourselves.
Okay.
Because I could tell a version of a story that I've had in my life. I could give you the long version, or I could give you the short version, and both will have authenticity and vulnerability. But to maybe consider the audience's reception of that story, maybe I shy away from the floodlight, or just intentionally not try to get that floodlight effect, and dial it back down to the short story, which is less transparent but still authentic and vulnerable all at the same time.
That makes total sense to me, because that's literally what I feel like. I feel like that's what I do on Instagram all day long. I'm vulnerable and authentic, but like, I don't tell you every intimate detail of the whole story of everything. I might just drop a little word in there, and people are like, whoa, that happened to her? I had no idea. But they don't know any of the details about how it happened, when it happened, what happened.
Sure.
That's a little bit too graphic.
Sure, of course. And what's an appropriate platform to actually display our transparency. Facebook, Instagram, that's great for vulnerability and authenticity, but it's not the correct platform for complete transparency.
I agree with that. I think where I've used complete transparency the most would definitely be, well, obviously relationships, but inside my coaching business. That's honestly why I think I can coach a lot better than a lot of people, because I am incredibly transparent with them, and I'll share intimate details where it allows them to share intimate details of their eating disorders or whatever they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But I completely agree. Sometimes there's a little bit too much transparency out there on the Instagram and Facebook.
Sometimes, absolutely. And it will definitely give you the feedback, because that's the power of social media.
Yeah, that's true.
And your business is called Fearlessly Authentic. What does that mean to you?
Well, it basically means not caring what other people think and determining what I say out loud. Like the fearless part is like not worrying about what anybody thinks about what I say. So I can be completely authentic because I'm fearless. It's like both they don't survive alone for me, because I was always scared to be authentic in who I was because of what I thought people would think of me. So when I had to own, like inside my story, it took me like years to become much more fearless. And then I got tattooed fearless on my side. But then a year later is when I finally found like, oh, I can drop all these sandbags and be completely authentic, because I don't really care what anybody thinks. I have nothing to prove anymore. I'm fine. And so they have to go together. But it's also the name of my company because it's a coaching company. So I help people do the same, because in coaching, you have to take people from one place to wherever they want to go. But most of the time, they're too scared to look in the mirror, both figuratively and really look in the mirror to see where they are in order to figure out how to get where they want to go. So that's why I named the company that.
Yeah, I can get behind that totally. And the words that you're using, the phrasing that you're using is great to tie it back into Brene Brown's most recent Call to Courage Netflix special.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So she wraps it up and she says, you don't measure vulnerability by the amount of disclosure. You measure it by the amount of courage to show up, be seen when you can't control the outcome. Mm-hmm. And that was the piece of just the message that resonated with me so much, that now this kind of thread and this trend in our podcast interviews is kind of diving deeper into authenticity, vulnerability, and how to appropriately be transparent.
Yeah. It was funny because I had already created the name of my company, been through all this stuff, and one day I was like, oh, this looks like a good Netflix thing. Started watching it, and that exact quote is in my phone. I was like, it's like this lady knew me.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I love her, and she did all the studying. I just like felt like I went through all the crap and the quicksand to get to the other side. And she was like, oh, I studied it. And by the way, you could have figured this out if you just met me.
Yeah, like you could have been one of her study participants on Shaming Vulnerability.
I could have definitely been somebody that she studied to figure that mess out.
That's exactly how I felt too when I read Daring Greatly. And about a year ago now, I think, is when I dove deeper into floodlights and transparency, authenticity, and vulnerability, and how it actually relates to my life.
Yeah, I haven't read the book yet. It's on the list.
Sure, pick it up. So let's bring it back to dating just a little bit, because I'm so fascinated with the different parts of the country and how modern relationships start and then progress. If this empowered, independent, successful, masculine man comes to you and he asks you out, what's your preferred type of date?
I really, because I'm scheduled and I'm a businesswoman, I enjoy when they let me know what time we are going. When they pick like the place that we're going, so that I know what to wear, so that I can already prepare for it. Once we're like on the date, I don't really care. I don't even know the details. I don't even know how long. Like I'll mark off the night, whatever. But like the getting ready part and the timing is very important. And I typically like to just go have like either a drink or either like coffee and then like a walk and talk kind of thing for like a first date. Because that way I'm moving and I can do something with my hands if I'm nervous, or because I usually talk with my hands. And then it's just more comfortable if you're sitting at a table if you can consume something. But to have a meal and be like, I don't really want to sit here and talk to you that long. Like, it's always good to have an out.
Yeah, I totally agree that like something without pressure, like
Yes.
just coffee. I didn't drink for about 7 months, and so I wasn't asking people out on a drinking date. So I frequently ask for the coffee date.
I do like the coffee date, or even if it's at night, be like, hey, let's go have some tea. Like, go to a coffee place and have like chamomile tea. I think that's like cool. Like, why can't we do that? Why do we have to drink alcohol like to have a date? Because I kind of want to remember it. And if I get too nervous, I might have 2 glasses of wine and be like, oh no, do I like you because of the wine? Or am I actually interested in what you're saying? And then I have to go on another date and realize, oh, I didn't really like you.
Because we're just kind of numbing our awareness a little bit if we bring alcohol into the equation.
Yeah.
And then we have coming back to like the power of social media, and then the power of our thoughts and the story that we tell each other ourselves is like, I've built this person up a little bit more in my head than who they actually really are. Maybe because of the alcohol, maybe because we met online. And then finally just, I have an ideal vision in my life for what that's going to be like. And well, is this the person? I'm going to hyper focus there. And I think it's human nature to go that route.
Yeah, I agree. I try to do the first dates without alcohol as much as possible.
I'm not gonna lie. I got a little nervous on a date last week, and I had a glass of wine. And
yeah, I had one last night. I'm not gonna say I went out last night and I had one because I was a little nervous.
Okay, what makes you nervous about last night's date?
Well, I had met him before. I was at a restaurant with my mom when she was in town, and his mom had come in town as well, and they were sitting at a table behind us. And so our moms became besties. And so we were like, hey, and we started talking, but then it was like awkward because I was like, is he asking me out because his mom wants me to date him? And vice versa. My mom was like, go out with him. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. And I was like, I don't know. This is weird. And so I drank some alcohol because I was a little nervous because I didn't really know if he was asking me out for reasons that he liked me or if he just felt pressured.
Sure. Of course, like it kind of takes me back to the teenage years where the parents are setting up children, or they have to be the chauffeurs, the chaperones, and like they have to keep a watchful eye over who their kids date.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, like when he picked me up, he came to my house because I had already met him before and our moms loved each other. And he's like, yeah, I text my mom. She's asking and about you and saying, be nice to you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then my mom's texting going, how's the date? How's the date? And I'm like, there's so much pressure. So it was a lot of pressure, but it was fun.
Good. So how do we take the pressure off of a first date, second date, third date? How do we relax and show our most authentic selves with each other, no matter how we meet?
I think you just have to like be, the easiest way to do that is just be yourself in all areas of your life. Most people aren't that way. So I would say show up and just, because 3 dates down the road, you're going to be yourself. So why not show up and pretty much be yourself anyway? If you're showing up in clothes you don't normally wear because you're on a first date, but then you're never going to wear a dress like that ever again, and that guy's going to get mad. He's thinking he's getting one thing and he's actually getting another. That's not fair. Show up like yourself. So that's what I think. And also I think it's very important for females to wear comfortable clothes.
Sure, of course.
We always end up in like stilettos and a super cute outfit where we're like, why I'm just uncomfortable, you know? And I'm like, wear something that you feel super comfortable in and you feel like yourself. Then you'll act more like yourself and not like all stuffy and like uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And who wears stilettos and a cocktail dress to coffee?
You never know. I mean, it is South Florida. In Miami, you never know.
Fair. So this question's been burning in my mind. Like, we're both single, we're both unattached. We've been single for a while, and it's unclear to me when is a good time to define the relationship.
It's a really good question. Honestly, I think it's dependent on where the people are in their lives. Because if the person's only looking for fun, then they are not looking to define anything. So the hardest part about it is you usually don't have that conversation until you've gone out like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And then you're like, wait a second, like I've kind of like, I'm a busy woman. So we only went out like once every 2 weeks or something, or once every week. And so now I've been dating you for kind of like 2 months. Like, do you have other girls in there? Like, what's going on? And then also, I think it also depended on like the sexual part. Like, if you're sleeping with this person on a regular basis, probably should have a conversation and be like, am I getting diseases? Let's just be honest. Like, that's when I think some conversations should be had, but I'm a little more old school than most. They're like, well, big deal. It's third date. You're supposed to have sex. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Not in every case of every third date. I've been on a lot of third dates that I would not have felt comfortable having sex at that time.
Well, I think it's also like a lot of people start with the alcohol. So 3 to 4 drinks in, you're a little bit more tipsy. Then the next time you see them, you might start drinking before you even see them. And because you don't even remember and you're kind of nervous, like, what did I do last time? What did I say? So by the third time you see them, you're like, well, I was trashed with them 2 times. Like, why not? So that becomes the problem in South Florida with my girlfriends and stuff. That's what they say. They're like, I don't even think I knew him. And then it just progressed too fast because we started drinking.
Mm-hmm.
If you start with the coffee, that's a good place to start. And actually, I like to start with a FaceTime. So that way I'm like, I see your face. Let's see if you can have a conversation with me. And then let's meet and do coffee. Like, if you don't have time to do a FaceTime with me like one night before we meet in 3 days, then that's crazy to me.
Yeah, then that doesn't seem like he's very open. He or she is very open to the possibility of you guys getting to know like some real good connection.
Right. I mean, and the difference is I'm not looking to just date random people. Like, I don't have enough time. Like, I want to find somebody that I can date for a while and then get married and like have a relationship. So I don't have to keep dating because it's hard.
Pretty savage out there.
Yeah, it's hard out here.
So after a conversation on vulnerability, transparency, authenticity, and defining a relationship, what's your best advice for us single people out there in the savage modern world?
Gosh, I'm just not sure. Should I give advice? I'm 38 and still single, no kids. Maybe I should, because someone told me last night, it was actually the guy he was like, I feel like we dodged a bullet because he was 34, not married, no kids. And it was like all his friends have already gotten divorced and they're getting married again. So I think the best advice is to know that whoever you're dating most likely will not be the person that you're going to be dating or married to in 10 years. Because if I think back over my life, I'm a completely different person when I was 15, 20, 23, 27, 30, 32. Like, I've changed. So if you're dating this person and you're thinking, maybe I want to stay with this person, think of them fat, annoying, not putting the seat down. Do you really want to hang out with this person? Because all of that pretty stuff might go away. And, if they're making you laugh and you're having fun, that's the kind of people you want to hang out with. Like, somebody you genuinely enjoy their time, because most likely they're going to, and also somebody that like will be open to change, because you're not going to be the same person.
Mm-hmm. I totally understand what you're saying now that you've explained it, for sure. Like, the person I meet today will hopefully not be like that in 10 years, because we're both going to be doing that growing.
Right.
Esther Perel in a book called Mating in Captivity talks about that, where she's like, you're going to quote unquote remarry this person 8 times if you live with them monogamously for your entire lifespan. So are you willing to marry them now and get remarried again in 10 years and remarried again in 7 years and then another 8 years after that to the same physical person, but a completely different emotional, mental, spiritual person?
Right.
That's very well said. I'm glad you wrapped it up with that. If your message resonates with people, what's the best way that they can get involved with you? How can they get a hold of you? And what are they going to find when they do? Because we didn't talk about your businesses. Because occasionally I bring on a real life dater across the country and just pick their brain on what's going on in their world.
Yeah. Instagram is usually the easiest. Chasity Snowden _FLA. And the FLA stands for Fearlessly Authentic. Conveniently, it's also where I live in Florida. But I'm a nutrition coach. And so most of the stuff you'll see online is mindset, business, and just pretty much all the craziness that I've been through. the epitome of authentic online. So you'll see everything I do, including my amazing dog. So if you don't come for anything else, come see Ollie. He's
That's
amazing.
exactly right. A lot of CrossFit posts, a lot of Ollie posts, and I can relate to that. I just crushed a weightlifting workout this afternoon after jujitsu.
Oh, wow.
And my elevator is broken, and I live on the 7th floor. So that's the worst day to have a broken elevator on leg day.
That's amazing. My elevator's always broken because I got stuck in it and I just don't get in it. So I walk up 4 flights of stairs over and over and over.
Well, you can handle the 4 flights.
Yes. Make sure my next date can handle the 4 flights. That's the biggest thing.
That's the deal breaker right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for your time. I know that it's super valuable. You're a busy woman. Best of luck. And what do you say in the next 6 to 12 months we catch back up? We do like a Facebook or an Instagram live, and we connect these communities of authentic people from Denver to Florida.
I would love that. That would be amazing. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.